Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Buckeye Local Schools Board of Education. This is Tuesday, January 8th. We're almost on time. It's 1 minute after 7. Roll call, please.
Fargo?
Here.
Councilman?
Here.
Archie?
Here.
Stahl?
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. There is a flag up above. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Buckeye Schools mission statement is to empower students to excel in a highly competitive society. Meeting agenda statement. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Approval of minutes. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the minutes for the special and regular meetings of December 11th, 2018. A motion, please.
So moved.
Second? Second. Any questions or comments on those minutes? Roll call?
Fargo?
Yes.
Archie?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Councilman?
Yes. Following are recommendations that have been identified for approval as part of the consent agenda for this meeting. If a board member wishes to remove any item from this agenda for further discussion prior to taking action, please let either the superintendent or board president know. Approval of consent agenda. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the consent agenda of January 8th, 2019 as presented. We do have item 17 will be executive session. 18 will be adjournment. The motion, please.
Motion.
Second. Second. Roll call.
Stahl?
Yes.
Archie?
Yes.
Fargo?
Yes.
Councilman?
Yes. Mr. Morgan, special guest.
Yes, we have our superintendent special guest. We have our students of the month. If our administrator would come forward and introduce our special guest.
How did I get up here first? First, go for it. I'm going to go first. Yeah, sure. We'll start with Pat Medea. Pat isn't able to be here today because he is a varsity basketball player. The boys are on their way to Oberlin to play today, so Pat couldn't make it with us. But Pat was selected as one of our 2 students of the month for the month of January. So we're in January now. Month of January. And was nominated by members of our teaching staff. He received more than 1 nomination from the staff, based purely on his character. Pat was cited from each staff member who nominated him based on his kindness towards others, towards staff, his willingness to engage with anybody, and his overall effort in the classroom on a daily basis. Pat obviously is a member of the varsity basketball team, as I said. He carries over a 3.0 GPA. Outside of school, he has a job in a place called Hoop Guru, where he coaches and teaches younger athletes the game of basketball, whether it's dribbling, shooting, passing, or game strategy. Pat said he likes it so much that he even goes in and volunteers for the camps and the tournaments and gets some extra experience coaching as he hopes to maybe possibly do that one day in his life. Pat also cited in his little application that he gives us that one of the things he does on the out school is spend as much time with grandma as possible. And I can say that's a true statement because when I was shopping with my daughter for a time for homecoming, Pat was shopping with his grandmother at Macy's for a time for homecoming. So we met at the register. He approved my tie. I approved his tie. And he models exactly what he says. He tries to be a man for others every single day, gracious and positive, and every single morning he's one of the first students I see because he goes out of his way to come find me and say hello, because I told him one day that was a pretty cool thing that he does. So he's a great young man, and we're happy to recognize Pat even though he can't be with us tonight. Catherine, why don't you come up because you're here. You're already here. This is Catherine Coons. Catherine is a sophomore at Buckeye High School. One of the things that I learned about Catherine today that I didn't know is she actually lives on Columbia Road just a little bit outside of the district and is one of our open enrollment students. And I'm glad to say that we have a student coming to us who could go somewhere else making such a great impact here on Buckeye High School. She's involved in a lot of different activities, from color guard to academic challenge. She's a new member of our new STEM club this year, and she's also a member of our French club where she serves as historian. How long's French club been going on? You care to give us a brief synopsis of that history?
Yeah, the French Club started last year when Madame Hedgehog came to Buckeye, and I was the vice president last year, and I'm the historian this year. We explore French culture, and we have parties sometimes.
They have crepes. It's really the problem. So on top of that, she's an outstanding student, carrying over a 4.0 GPA. Already as a sophomore, she's enrolled in our AP US History class, where I sat next to her not too long ago in November. We talked about the Monroe Doctrine. You thought my summary was pretty good?
Yeah.
It was pretty decent. And we also have College Credit Plus on there, and Honors Advanced 10 English, most likely moving in some more AP courses next year. We also found out today from talking that one of the things that we both like about Buckeye is the size. We both agreed that Buckeye is a place that there's enough people where you might not know everybody by name, but you know them by face, and there's a commonality, a trust, and a respect for everybody in the building. And most importantly, we also learned today that Catherine set the school record this year. She escaped from Alcatraz 16 times as a member of the color guard. So not only is that something that's only been done by Sean Connery, Catherine did it 16 times. So, Catherine, congratulations. Great.
Good evening, I'm Mr. Flood, and I'm the principal of the junior high. With me this evening is Allison Vogt. Every time that we do this, it's always an honor because one of the great things that I get to do is I get to go to my team of teachers. We have 4 different team of teachers, and I ask them to start the discussion and to have discussions with other teachers to nominate our student of the month. And the January, again, student of the month is Allison Vogt. I had them write up a little bit about Allison and what they wanted to share. And as I read that, and I've known Allison for many years, but as I read this, I think this really describes her very well. I think it describes her parents and the way that they brought her up so well. The team of Mr. Davis, Mr. Bremer, Mrs. Penbos, and Mrs. Roan recognized 8th grader Allison Vogt as our student of the month. The junior high is proud to announce Allie as our student of the month. She's a quiet, diligent worker, and who always strives to do her best. She produces high-quality work and has been recognized as a strong leader during the production of our Buck TV. Her teachers have also described her as sweet, kind, respectful, polite, creative, friendly, driven, and a person of integrity. As I skip down just a few paragraphs, because there's a lot written about her, but this part of it says, at the junior high, Allie is thriving. She is enjoying the freedom of the schedule to pursue her goals and now supports the teachers. She is particularly enjoying learning about volcanoes and seismographic volcanoes this year. She's even helping the principal, right? Allie's favorite subject is math because she likes to solve problems and work with numbers. She says, I always strive to get the best grades that I can and to be helpful and kind as possible as she can. And she will keep working until she achieves and accomplishes these goals. This is Allison Bowen.
I'm very honored, I get to present two students. Unfortunately, Mrs. Knapp is ill this evening, so I get to represent her student of the month, who is Victor Shachenko. My code, did I get it right? And I just have to say, when I look out in the audience, one of my favorite things about Buckeye is how involved the teachers are. Because I think I see a couple of teachers, or at least one teacher here for you, and I see a couple here for Maddie, and I see some here for Allison too. So thank you guys, that is awesome. Victor has a big heart and generous nature and truly cares about others. He doesn't make the popular choice or the easy choice. He makes the kind choice. It's rare for a sixth grader to put others before themselves, but he always does. And I have to say the next part was brought a tear to my eye when I read it. An example of this is the kindness he showed to a classmate. Her mother was going through chemotherapy and she came to school tired and deflated. Victor took the time at the end of every day to assist her with her homework and encourage her when he could have been doing his own homework or socializing. I overheard him reassuring her that he has known people with cancer in his church and have been fully cured through chemotherapy. His empathy and maturity made a difference for her, and this is the way he approaches life. Victor is also an excellent student who is 100% and loves to learn. He leads by example, and I have to agree, he certainly deserves the title of the Intermediate Buckeye Student of the Month. Congratulations. And now I'm very pleased to present the primary student of the month, Maddie Wilhelm. Now I am going to have to fact check a couple of things she told me today, but we'll get to that in a minute. Her teachers had these awesome things to say about her. Maddie is an amazing young girl who is an enthusiastic learner in our classroom. Maddie not only shows respect to her teachers, but is also kind and helpful to her peers. She is a definite role model and leads by example. Maddie is conscientious and a hardworking student and puts forth her best effort in all that she does. And we're very proud and honored to have her as our student in our classroom. That's from Mrs. Whitaker and Mrs. Schrader. But Maddie is also a very busy young lady. She plays travel soccer, indoor soccer, rec soccer, and softball. And guys, watch out. I hear you started to learn to box over Christmas. Do we have a boxing team? Is that something? No. Math is her favorite subject in school, and she has 3 brothers. She also loves making duct tape crafts, right? And this is the part I'm going to verify with the mom and dad. She loves doing dishes. And she's honest too. That's awesome. And I always enjoy seeing her happy, smiling face in the hallway. Congratulations to Maddie Wilhelm.
Thank you, principals. We'll take a short break so that we can take some photos of the very important children.
the Buckeye Board of Education accepts the treasurer's report as presented, including all internal budget, submitted certificates, and appropriations to the county auditor, as on file at the treasurer's office, appendix A.
Yeah.
Adoption of the 2020 budget, the tax budget, is a planning document commonly termed as the asking budget and is in accordance to establish a need for the collection of levied taxes. All funds are required to be included in the tax budget but are not of relative importance in cases where they are not funded by local taxes. We have a general fund, emergency levy fund, and bond retirement fund, and permanent improvement fund involved with local tax support. The budget is required to be adopted by the Board of Education by January 15th and must be filed with the county auditor by January 20th. It is recommended that the Buckeye Board of Education adopt the 2020 fiscal year budget as explained by Treasurer Jennifer Knapp and shown in Appendix B of the board members' agenda.
A motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
And Mrs. Knapp, any further comments?
No, our budget hearing went really great, and it's available if anybody would like to look at it.
Any questions from board members? Roll call.
Stahl?
Yes.
Barco?
Yes.
Varchi?
Yes.
Gumholm?
Yes. Public participation. The public is invited to speak to any of the agenda items and other school topics. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Direct questions will not be answered by the Board of Education members at this time. However, answers will be given at a later date as appropriate. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board this evening?
Yes. Hi, my name is Mary Crabtree. I teach 7th grade language arts at Buckeye Junior High School, and this is Board of Education Recognition Month. So on behalf of the Buckeye Local Education Association, I would like to say, as citizens who serve children who represent our community, each of you on the Buckeye School Board face complex and demanding challenges. Your job is to establish a vision for the Buckeye Education Program and then work to assure that Buckeye is accountable to the community. You also advocate for continuous improvement in student learning. And I know that your job as board member entails many meetings and school functions to attend and a great deal of reading a variety of information. There are also those times when you have to make difficult decisions. Our school board members come from all walks of life. They are business owners and retired school personnel. And all of them have family members who attend or have attended our school. While they wear many hats in the workday world, our school board members put on a collective hat when they get down to the business of feeding Buckeye. They have to pull together as a team toward a common goal, helping Buckeye students achieve. We see that happening when we have policies that work to make the lives better for our students and for the staff here at Buckeye. The time spent in board meetings represents just a small fraction of the hours that you spend leading our district. You also work hard at seminars and training sessions to keep up on the latest trends in education, and you're deeply involved in our community activities and spend a lot of hours at school activities and events. Our board members' love of learning and concern and caring for our students, staff, and the community is to be admired and gratefully acknowledged. And the Buckeye Local Education Association would like to present this card in appreciation of all the work that each of you do to make our schools a better place to learn and work.
Thank you, Mary, and the BLEA. That's very kind words. We appreciate that. Anyone else who wishes to address the board this evening? Only with compliments. All right, then we'll move on to the superintendent's informational items this morning.
Yes, we have 2 presentations for this evening. Our first presentation is Mr. Zepp with our special education.
You know, Mr. Morgan, would it be okay if Mrs. Knapp's presentation went before mine?
That would be fine. Mrs. Knapp's presentation, though, is now listed as Mrs. Fuller's presentation. Mrs. Knapp is not with us.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for being so gracious, Mr. Zepp. That's what I tell everyone about you.
My pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. I am here on behalf of Ms. Knapp, who, as we've heard, she is ill and cannot be here. But I had the pleasure of working with some fourth grade classes to do a really special activity last month. And so Ms. Knapp had said, would you guys like to present about it? And I said, sure, but you guys don't want to hear me. So I brought along some assistants who are going to tell you about this activity that we did. So this is where you come forward. Right? All right, you guys want to stand wherever you're comfortable. Okay, and I will hit the buttons. Are you ready?
First of all, what is a mystery?
Why don't you tell me, I'm going to have you tell me your name first.
Okay, my name is John, and this is a presentation made by all of our class members. Anyway, what is a mystery hangout? A mystery hangout is a social game played with two groups of students. It's a mix of battleship and 20 questions. Two classes write down clues or questions about their geographical location for the other class. The classes then communicate through the smartboard with Google Hangout. The first class to get the other's location wins and is crowned the champion.
I'm Maya from Miss Auber's class, and I like the mystery Skype because I like to ask questions, and it was fun guessing the other location on Google's Hangouts. Their location was India, so they're like Indiana, right next to us. And it was cool how we all worked together, even with the other people through Google Hangouts, because we helped them learn things too, like what the central planes and stuff were. And it was fun talking to them through Google Hangouts. My name is Ellie. I like going up and asking the questions. I also enjoy going and researching all the different maps to find out the location. And I like looking up the other schools' websites to compare their school to ours.
Hi, I'm Nolan from Mrs. Sarmiento's class. I had a fun time and I loved asking questions and teaching the class some interesting things, and I loved winning, and I can't wait to do it again.
Okay, these were some of my thoughts that I had, and I had a really fun time at the hangout, and I had a very fun time. There were some tricky questions, like the other class asked us, does your state border Ohio? Now we are Ohio, so it was a bit confusing. We said no because we don't border Ohio, we are Ohio. And last but not least, I really enjoyed asking the questions and seeing their reactions, which is fun because sometimes they think about it, they're like this, and they sometimes think about it, so it's fun to kind of see their reactions.
And again, your class hung out with a school from where?
Maryland.
Maryland. All right.
Students had a great time hanging out with new friends in Maryland and Indiana.
All right. So does the board have any questions for our students about their experience?
We do not. I don't, but it sounds like a wonderful thing to do.
And we snuck in some learning. They had to learn the difference between physical maps and political maps, and we even talked about time zones. So we did sneak in some standards without their knowing, but now they know. So awesome job, you guys. Thank you so much.
How did you get hooked up with the different schools?
What I did is you go on Twitter and you put out a request. So I said, we are a fourth grade class looking for a Google Hangout. I said the date and the time that we were available. You know, we tell them what time zone we are in. And then whoever wants to respond, I then have a private message with, and then we set up our times and share each other's Google, because then you can just go into the Google Hangout and have a video call. And so it's just basically, now again, the class in Maryland, how did we get hooked up with them?
Through Mrs. Sarmiento. She went to college with this one class, and
they decided to have the mystery.
Yeah, so it was her college roommate. So she had said, is it okay if we use my college roommate? Which was really fun because they were excited to see each other's class too. But the kids didn't know that, and they kept it very hush-hush until the end. And it was funny because when Mrs. Sarmiento said, you guys, this is my college roommate, all the kids are like, what? You didn't tell us that. So that was really fun. So that's how you find them. So if you're on Twitter, you can search #mystery Skype, and you can find some schools that are interested. So we'll be doing it again. I have a feeling because they were pretty excited. So we'll be doing it again. They want to go global next time. So we might be going global. Maybe we'll have to be here at 2 a.m., but we're going to go global. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. All right. Thanks, you guys. Thank you.
Let's go.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Good to see you.
Mr. Zepp, are you okay to come now, or
Does anybody else want to present? You guys keep thinking I'm getting out of these presentations. Unfortunately, I have no children here to present for me. I'm going to have to present myself. Every year, how do we click this? Just hit the button in the middle? That one moves it forward. Okay. So every year, districts receive a special education profile from the state. So what I thought tonight I could do is present to everyone.
I got you back on the camera.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Present to everyone what the profile is. And basically what the profile is designed to do is to enhance our special education programs. It kind of tells us some targets that we hit or maybe did not hit throughout the year. So the first thing that is what exactly is the Ohio Special Education Profile? Well, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act, IDEA, you may have heard of that. It's a U.S. federal law. They created that, and the Ohio Department of Education is going to kind of works with that to establish annual targets or goals for a few of the indicators. The state was kind enough to organize the indicators into 4 essential questions, and I'm going to go over each of those 4 essential questions. First one is, are young children with disabilities entering kindergarten ready to learn? So, this basically deals with our preschool program, and what they do is our preschool teachers complete a basically like a checklist for students every year. And according to the state, they've changed the checklist. So I asked them, I called the state this past week to see, our acquisition of knowledge, growth, and skills, why was that maybe not met this year? And what the state had told me was that a lot of people misconstrued the directions on that. So all of our special education preschool teachers and I are going to go to a meeting with SSTA, which is our regional support, and find out exactly what we're doing to complete that checklist, to make sure that we're doing it correctly. Because our as I talked about last time, I think I spoke to you, our Little Bucks program is a 5-star Step Up to Quality program. So it's a high quality program. So to see that, I think it's more of a paperwork issue than it is us not meeting the skills. The other indicators that were met are the least restrictive environment, social emotional skills, and early childhood transition from Part C to Part B, which basically means are they ready to go to kindergarten? I'll just kind of summarize that. And then the least restricted, our preschool program is a 50-50, students with IEPs and disabilities and their typical peers. So that's the first essential question. Are the young children with disabilities entering kindergarten ready to learn? The next one, are children with disabilities achieving at high levels? As you can see there, the indicators that we met, reading and math participation, all of our students participate in the state testing, so we had 100% in that. Participated in the math and reading alternate assessment. What that means is if you have students that have cognitive disabilities or things like that, they may not be able to take the regular state testing. The state would like to see less than 1% of your population take that. We are within that range. We're at like 0.5%. So a good majority of our students with disabilities are taking the regular tests like everyone else. Our reading proficiency rate, disproportionality, discipline, our suspension to expulsion rate very low compared to the state target. The state target's like 15%. We're at like much less than that. Let me see, what else am I missing there? School age educational environments. This was one of the ones that I was most proud of when I looked at our jump. We jumped from a 20% increase in having students with disabilities in the general education classroom. So we went from, say, 50% of the kids spend the majority of their day in a general education classroom. And what that means is that resource room, like getting pulled out for their math or language arts and things like that, we've done a nice job of working with the inclusion and getting the co-teaching going and things like that. So now that we've made a 20% jump, so more students are now in the regular classroom than they are pulled out for math and reading and things like that. In the future, we're going to keep working on doing we're doing an inclusion, professional development and things like that going into the spring and things like that. The third question, are youth with disabilities prepared for life, work, and post-secondary education? The indicators we met with that was dropout. We had a 0% dropout rate with students with disabilities. So all of this, just to remind, all of these indicators and things deal with students with disabilities. So they're students on IEPs. They're not just our general population as well. Secondary transition, what that means in the IEPs, are we hitting on secondary transition? Are we writing up goals to prepare them for post-secondary careers and things like that? We are doing that. 100% of our IEPs meet the goal of post-secondary transition. And then the indicator not met was graduation. Once again, when I found indicators that we did not meet, I wanted to find out why. The part of the reason for this is with students with disabilities who graduate within 4 years. So some of our students with disabilities take another year. For example, we have a student who's a senior this year who decided to go to MCCC. So next year he's going to be going to a vocational school. He doesn't graduate within 4 years. We get dinged for that in that situation. So that's why I believe, looking at some of the data, and also the data for this comes from 16-17. So that's 2 years ago. So some of the data, and the preschool data as well, comes from 16-17. So that's data from 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We're doing a lot. I'm working with the high school quite a bit to look at ways to work on credit recovery, finding those kids that have maybe credit deficient, and find ways to make sure that we get them where they need to be so that we can. Our goal is to have all our students with disabilities graduate within 4 years. If that's what other students as well that can stay on IEPs till they're 21, that's another thing that would potentially get you dinged, but we want to make sure we're educating our kids. That's more important than making sure they graduate on time. And then the final one is, does the district implement IDEA to improve services and results for children with disabilities? What this essential question is basically asking, how is our paperwork? When I came in to Buckeye this year, one of the goals when I started was to make sure that all of our teachers know how to write a compliant legal IEP, and also that we make sure all of our dates and all of those things are correct. We had Martha Phillips come in, and she audited, did kind of an internal audit of what our systems were. She helped out. We also, just before break, which is probably rather exciting for our teachers, the last day before break, I had a professional development day where the state support team came in and talked about writing IEPs and goals and things like that. So I've really kind of, in my first couple months on the job, made sure that we're compliant on the state aspect of it so that we don't get any reports or things like that. We also have an internal monitoring team that we put together, which is a group of myself and 7 other teachers. We all look at IEPs during the late arrival days. We get together, we pool, we just randomly pick 5 or 6 IEPs, look at them as a group, mark what we think as a team, and then send them back. So we're doing a lot in that area this year to make sure that we're compliant in that area. And then finally, some ways we're going to use this Ohio Special Education Profile. It's important that, it's great to have data, but how are we going to use it to help improve our special education program here at Buckeye? Basically, informed systems change. What that means is we're going to look at our schedule and our resources. Do we have the appropriate staff? And if we do have the appropriate staff, are they in the right place? Do we have all this, our continuum of services? Do we have the right continuum of services for all of our students to be successful? Funds. Are we using what we have efficiently? Are we getting, are we getting the most bang for our buck? So that's something I'm going to look at and see where are we using our resources, and are we using them wisely? professional development, working with the principals as well as some of the teachers. What are some areas that we want to get better at? I think inclusion and co-teaching is a big thing here at Buckeye. I know it's been started before I got here. I want to keep that going and find ways to do it even better. And then improved outcomes for students. Obviously, that's what all of our goals are here at Buckeye as a special ed department as well as all the other departments. We want to enhance the student achievement as well as teach the whole child. So that's the special education profile. I've got more information if anybody wants to talk about it. I'm available. But that's basically what we get from the state every year. Any questions about the profile or anything? I think that's it. Yes.
On the IEPs, having them written properly is great. Implementation of them, follow up to make sure that they're implemented correctly is another side of it. And I've had parents that have said that they weren't being implemented properly. Some of it, I believe, is because of terminology. School employees have different terminology than what other people do, and I know a lot of special ed parents catch on to that quickly. But in those IEPs, are you watching to make sure that you explain what the terminology is?
That's the goal. The goal is when you're in a parent. What I tell our teachers is when you're in a parent meeting explaining the IEP, they should walk out of there understanding. Don't throw a bunch of acronyms and ETRs and IEPs and MFEs and all that at them. They should walk out of there saying, okay, this is what my child's going to be getting. These are the services that they're going to provide. This is why he needs the specialized instruction. All of those kind of things. Yes. That's the goal. That's what I've told my teachers that I'd like them to walk out. When you come to an IEP meeting, you should walk out of there feeling like, okay, I know what my son needs. They're going to provide it. This is how they're going to provide it, and the goals and objectives and all that kind of stuff. So yes, that's big because I agree. We can, as teachers, sometimes we talk and it's hard to understand. Absolutely.
Well, you lose board members quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, if you have any questions about any of the acronyms, I have a cheat sheet up in my office actually. I hear them so often as well. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's proud to be able to finally present. Yes.
Item B, under informational items, we have late arrival day on Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. Item C, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is Monday, January 21st, 2019. We have no school. Item D, we have a board special meeting on Saturday, January 26th, 2019 at 8:30 a.m. at the Buckeye Board of Education Conference Room. Item E, board work session, Monday, January 28th, 2019, 6 p.m. at the Buckeye Board of Education Conference Room. Item F, we have our Buckeye Day information coming out, which will be Saturday, March 2nd, 2019. I want to encourage everyone to attend, as well as if you have an interest to have a table there to share what you're doing in our community, or you have products that you'd like us to be aware of, please follow the instructions there regarding to contact Vicki Calvin at 330-722-8257, extension 1002, to get information about the event or request a table. Item G is January is, as you've already heard, School Board Recognition Month, and we want to thank our Board of Education members for all they do, the time they have committed to the district, to our students. We appreciate that, and thank you for allowing us to do our work.
Thank you for the flowers and the very special cake. Yes.
Any questions on informational items? Item 13, Superintendent's recommendations. Item A, Buckeye High School wall proposal. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the Clark and Post proposal for architectural and engineering services for the Buckeye High School Industrial Lab wall restoration for $18,200, which is Appendix C. Item B, approval to advertise for bids. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the district advertising for bids for the Buckeye High School roof repair. Item C, approval of softball field backstop. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the proposal by Ag Design for the extension of the softball field backstop. A cantilever and extensions will be placed on the existing backstop for $5,200, Appendix D. Item D, the gymnastics agreement. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the facility use agreement with Buckeye Activity Center for the Buckeye Local Schools Extracurricular Gymnastics Program, Appendix E as amended. Item E, Buckeye Elementary HVAC update proposal. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the HVAC update proposal to the elementary building, Appendix F.
A motion for these items?
So moved.
Second? I'll second it. Any questions or comments on these? Roll call?
Kavarchi,
Yes.
Kunkelman,
Yes?
Vargo,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
New business?
We have a first reading of the following policies. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education consider the policies listed below as presented. Copies of the complete policies are attached to board members' agendas as Appendix G. Item 1, Policy 1521, Administrative Pre-Employment Drug Testing. Item 2, Policy 1541. Item 3, Policy 1662. Item 4, Policy 2111. Item 5, Policy 2260. Item 6, Policy 2700. Item 7, Policy 3120.02. Item 8, Policy 3122. Item 9, Policy 3140. Item 10, Policy 3362. Item 11, Policy 4120.
We'll move on to personnel items since that's a first reading.
Personnel certified substitutes. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the attached list of certified substitutes, tutors recommended by the Diamond County Schools ESC to work on an as-needed basis for the 2018-19 school year. A copy of the list is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix H. Item B, classified personnel. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the following classified personnel items as presented. Number 1, employment. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire Danielle Jarrett as a 3.5-hour cook at Buckeye Elementary, effective January 7th, 2019. Ms. Jarrett will be paid at Step 1 for the negotiated contract. Item 2, extended medical leave of absence. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the request for extended medical leave of absence for Joyce Savage, paraprofessional until February 1st, 2019. Item 3, continuing contract. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve a continuing contract for Patricia Weiss, Treasurer's Office Assistant, effective January 24th, 2019. Item C, supplemental contract approval. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the following supplemental contracts pending certifications as well as resignations effective for the 2018-19 school year as listed.
We'll entertain a motion on those personnel items.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Vargo,
Yes.
Kavarchi,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Kunkelman,
Yes. This is time for board comments. Let's start with Mr. Barco. Do you have anything?
Well, thank you very much for the certificate and the cupcake and flowers. It goes along with our high compensation that we get being board members. I very much appreciate it. That's all.
Mrs. Kovarchi?
Well, I would like to also thank you for the flowers and Jen's cupcake. And I'd like to thank the BLEA for the kind words and the thank you note. That goes a long way. It really does. I appreciate it very much. And I have to tell you, I absolutely love the presentations by the kids. It's always fun and it's always something new and exciting. So thank you.
Mr. Stahl?
Thank you for everything. I appreciate it. And thank you for attending as well. And second on the kids' presentation. It's always nice to watch. So I don't know if anyone had a presentation that did not have kids. Maybe they could have kids next time.
Again, thank you all for being here. Welcome back from your holiday break. And I hope things are going smoothly this week for you. I know you'll be tired by the end, but we get back in the groove and continue the work that we do. So at this time, we do have a need for executive session, and we will not have any board action at the conclusion of that. So I would entertain a motion to go go into executive session.
So moved.
In a second. I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Kavarchi.
Yes.
Dunkelman.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Barco.
Yes.
All right, then, folks,